everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be exploring Chapter 8 and a little bit more of an addition that I added to it because it was so interesting. So this is just Chapter 8 by itself. Let's start. Fraction to percentage. The name of this chapter was comparing quantities, but we're going to be exploring fraction to percentage. To make a fraction into percentage, you just need to times it by 100, and then it will be initially the percentage that you want. Percentage to fraction will be putting a percentage, so like 25 by 100 to make it a fraction, and then which is equal to 1 by 4. Percentage to decimal, so if you have 25 by 100, you just want to do 0.25. That's the percentage. That's the decimal. Decimal to percentage, 2.1 to percentage would be, you are going to be putting that by 10 to make it a fraction, because you can't add a decimal in a fraction, can you? Then you just want to times it by 100, which is what we did for a fraction, which is equal to 210. Percentage. To calculate a percentage of a number, like 20% of 20, you do 20 by 100, which is what percentages are, times 20, which is 4. Then you have got 5% of it is 600. So you need to find the it, which is it. So 5 by 100 times x is equal to 600. That's what it means, okay? Don't get confused. It's very easy. Then let's say x is equal to 600 times the 5 by 100 went over there, so it's going to get a reciprocal up. So it's going to be times 100 by 5, which is equal to 12,000. So x is equal to 12,000. Now ratio to percentage. If you have 3:1 and you want to make it a percentage, you can write 3 by 4 and 1 by 4. Let me show you how that happened. So 3:1 has 4 possibilities, right? So there are 4 possibilities in total. So you put the total on the bottom, obviously. So 3 by 4 and 1 by 4. And sorry, that's not a multiplication. That's a ratio. Then you do what you would do to a fraction, which is times it by 100. 75 and 25 was our answers, and then that will be 75% is to 25%. Okay, now we're going to be learning about cost. This is where I added a little bit of addition, but I'll tell you when I did that. Cost price is the price in which the seller bought it. So if you have a marker and you are selling it, but in what cost did you get the marker in? You got it in $10, for example, and then you're wanting to sell it in $15. So you had profit. Now how did we tell we had profit? Because the selling price was bigger than the cost price. But if we were having loss, then it would mean that the cost price is bigger than the selling price, as you can see over here. Here we have a profit of $5. So how did we calculate $5? We got selling price minus cost price is equal to profit, which is 5. To get the profit percentage, you want to do profit by cost price times 100. So we have 5 by 10 times 100 for our example of the marker, which is 50% profit. So we got 50% of our profit. So we basically had 50% more of what you actually had before. Now we have loss percentage. In loss percentage, you just replace the profit with the loss. So it's going to be loss by cost price times 100. So if 5 was my loss, then it would be 5 by 10 times 100, which is like profit, but you got 50% loss instead of profit. Borrowing money. When you take a loan from bank, you take some amount borrowed, which is called the principal. And then, for example, in our example, let's take the principal as $20,000. Then our interest is the extra money paid. So bank doesn't just give out the money for free and you can return it whenever you want. It takes interest on that so that the bank gets some money to eat as well. So you've got $5,000 of the extra money paid. That's our interest for the bank. So now you have an amount. Amount is equal to the final money you paid, which is principal plus interest, which is $25,000 in our example. Now, we have got interest. How can we calculate the interest when we don't even know the interest? All we know is the principal, the rate of interest. Rate of interest is like the percentage of interest that we get, because normally banks take 15% or something like that, around that. And we have the time. So in our example, you have a formula for that. You have principal times rate of interest times by 100. Okay, so when you write the rate of interest, you don't have to add an extra 100. It will be obviously, you just write 50. Okay, so let's have $20,000 times 15. So 20,000 was our principal, 15 is our rate of interest, 15%, and time was our 5. So 5 and all that by 100, which is equal to $15,000. Now $15,000 is our interest. So that's how much we need to pay more. Okay, when we have $5,000 interest, we didn't really have the interest rate there. But when we add the interest rate, which is 15%, you have to pay $15,000 more to the bank in only 5 years. Okay, then you have got compound interest. Now this is what I added in, because normally banks sometimes take compound interest. I'm not sure which one they take more, but sometimes people take compound interest. Compound interest means that, you see here, this is simple interest. Simple interest is when you don't apply the interest on the amount. So if you have this, so after 1 year, that $20,000 will have how much more interest? They will have 5,000 more interest, right? Wait, so so $5,000 of interest. So that's how much they will have to pay. No, sorry. In 1 year, you will have to pay 3,000 more interest. In 2 years, you will just have to pay 6,000 interest. In 4 years, it will be 9,000, and then 5 years, it will be 12,000. Wait, I'm getting confused. But basically, in compound interest, it's just that you add the interest on the final amount. So every year, you don't add the interest on the principal. You add it after year by year by year. You add it on the amount, if that makes sense. So, to calculate the final amount after some period of time for the compound interest, you have this following formula. P brackets 1 plus r by n to the power of nt. N is the number of times the interest is added in one time. So in one time meaning 1 year, for example, in this case. So we have the P, which is $20,000. We've got the rate of interest, 15%, and we've got the N, which is only once, because we're not doing twice in a year. And you've got T, which is the time period, which is gonna be 5. So time. Let's go $20,000, and in brackets 1 plus 15 by 100, you have to add it there because it's a percentage, to the power of 1 times 5 is equal to 40,227.14. That's what you have to pay if you have compound interest. Before, you had to pay, where is it? You only had to pay $15,000 more, which is going to take us to 35. But if you have this type of interest, you have to pay 40,000. So that's our chapter right there. It's very fun to understand and really interesting. So that's our chapter right there. Hope you enjoyed, hope you understood everything, and I'll see you next time.